This problem we're going to be able to solve using square roots. The way you can identify a problem that you can solve using square roots is if it is missing the x term. So when you're doing the quadratic formula, your b term is the one that just has an x on it, and that one is missing. So that's the key here. In order to solve a problem by square roots, we first have to isolate the x squared term. So in this problem, our x squared term is just right here. So to get it by itself, I'm going to add 18 to both sides. So I would have x squared equals 18. So now I have the x squared term isolated. I can take the square root of both sides. And you have to remember to put a plus or minus in front of the side that has the number. And we talked about this in class, but I'll really quickly show you again why that's important. If I tell you that x squared equals 9, for example, and then you take the square root of both sides and you get x equals 3. Great, because if you take 3 and you square it, it gives you 9. But the trick is that if you take negative 3 and square it, that's negative 3 times negative 3. That's also positive 9. So you don't know when you took the square root of 9 if originally you had started with a positive or a negative 3. So you have to say every time you take the square root of an x squared, the other side gets a plus or minus because you don't know if what is being squared was originally positive or negative. All right, so back to this problem here. So what I have now is x equals plus or minus the square root of 18. So I have to worry about a factor tree now. So I'm going to break down 18 into 6 times 3. And then 6 is 2 times 3. So I have a pair of 3's and a leftover 2. So I would have a plus or minus at the front, the 3 that comes out because it's a pair, and then the 2 that's left over because it didn't have a pair. So my final answer would be plus or minus the 3 times the square root of 2. And even though it looks like I have one answer there, it's actually two answers because of that plus or minus. I have a positive 3 root 2 and a negative 3 root 2.